Hey everyone, live again from Ireland, and I am sitting in the Hawkeye School of Falconry at Lyrath Estate with John Dugan. Now, you may hear one of the dogs in the background, you might hear a few other sounds, but again, we are live, and this is Ireland at its best. So John, I want to thank you so much. We just had an amazing hawk walk with you. Yep. And learned an incredible amount about falconry in Ireland. So can you tell me a little bit, I know we went through all of it, but just the whole long story, but can you just fill my listeners in a little bit on the sport of falconry, maybe where it originated and how it came to Ireland?
Yeah, of course. So falconry, we know for sure, started in Mesopotamia. So you're looking at Iraq. Roughly anywhere from 4,500 to 5,000 years ago. Made its way into Europe and eventually made its way into the UK and eventually, last but not least, made its way to Ireland. It was around 1200 AD by the time it started showing up in Irish history, and that just coincides with the arrival of the Anglo-Normans. So it was the Anglo-Normans who brought falconry to Ireland, along with lots of other stuff.
And falconry at its core is hunting.
Of course, yeah, it's the art of catching wild prey with a trained bird of prey, and that's what falconry essentially is. And it's important that people understand that, because that's where the heritage and the culture is. You know, it's about catching wild prey with your bird and surviving using a bird of prey to feed yourself with. You know, it's important that that's kept.
And you had said that this was a really important thing with the traveling armies, because they would have their archers and they would have their falconers, and the falconers would go one way, the archers would go the other, and then what came back was dinner.
Exactly, of course, yeah. Particularly the Normans, they used it an awful lot while they needed to camp. They needed to eat before they'd march again for maybe days on end. So the falconers would catch a certain amount of food and the archers would catch a certain amount as well. There's actually a very famous story about Frederick II, the Holy Roman Emperor, who loved falconry, and while they were in Germania at that time, as it was known, they were going to do a battle, and he got there and he looked around and he went, wow, what an amazing place to go hunting, let's get the falcons ready and we'll go flying. And lo and behold, while they were out hunting, the army were ambushed and most of them were killed. Yeah, so there's lots of famous stories, you know, that go with falconry, and ransoms, you know, birds being used to pay ransoms and pay rents and, you know, different things. Yeah, so it's very interesting.
Now, here at Lyrath, you have a really nice setup. I've done falconry in quite a few places, and every place is obviously a little different. But here at Lyrath, you have a beautiful open field that is surrounded by trees, and that's really an ideal place for a hawk walk.
It is a little bit unique, to be honest with you, because we're blessed. We're very, very lucky to have the amount of ground we have here. A lot of hawk walks, it's in a woodland and the bird is kind of above you, and you know they're always close enough to you because they're clever and they know we don't have to go too far and they're going to call us back. When they're doing this kind of work, they use their intelligence, they conserve their energy, so they do what they have to do. But you see in there today on your hawk walk that some of the trees are maybe 50, 60 yards apart, so you're getting these long distance gliding flights from trees onto your glove, and that's why it's a little bit different here. And it also, you'll notice today was quite windy. You'll notice a serious wind comes through this place. It makes the birds very fit. Whereas a lot of people would say, oh, it's too windy to fly the birds. My ones love it. They love getting out in the wind.
And we were in the wind, it was raining a bit. I mean, it's not just a fair weather sport.
No, it's nicer when it's not raining. The wind I don't mind too much once it's not gale force. Then I just no way, it's too dangerous for the birds, of course.
Right.
And it's more enjoyable if there's no rain. But look, that's just the way it is. And yeah, like you know, people come here kind of to do a kind of a one in a lifetime experience, and you don't want to be turning them away either, you know. And
right.
They might be only here for a night or passing through Kilkenny even. A lot of people get trained from Dublin just to do a hawk walk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, lots. So, you know, if it's a little bit of rain, you know, I'm not going to turn around and go, oh, I'm not working today because it's wet. You know, we do bring them out, you know.
So now you have a couple of different experiences here. You have the falconry experience,
Yes.
and you have the hawkwalk, which we did. So can you tell me a little bit about what the falconry experience would be as opposed to
Yeah.
the full hawkwalk?
Yeah, so on your hawk walk today, you got to come down and meet all the birds in their weathering area, and look around the area and see, you can see what it's all about. We introduced you to every single bird that was there, and you began with an owl encounter. You continued on to your hawk walk, you met Turbo the owl, then we introduced you to the birds you were about to fly, and that was the one you done your hawk walk with, which was Ivy today. She's beautiful. And then we finished our hawk walk, and that was the end of that. So that's a hawk walk, and then with a falconry experience, it's listed that you don't go for a walk, and that we just teach you how to call the bird to your glove and send it back to the trees, and then we go into flying a falcon. So it's a private lure demonstration with a falcon. A falcon, we only do one lure demonstration with a falcon a day. That's it. So they're fairly limited. And as well as that, most of the time when we do get a falconry experience in, I do still go for the walk, because I don't like taking the Harris hawk out and not bringing them for that walk, because they almost demand it. You can see when they have a couple of people there and they've flown to them a couple of times to get used to them, like we done with you, then they're like, well, we usually go for a walk. And when you don't go for a walk, they're kind of sitting there going, why didn't you bring me for a walk? So I still kind of do the walk anyway, but
Gotcha.
it wouldn't be listed, but yeah. It
Gotcha.
goes on for a little bit longer.
Okay. And usually a larger group, would that be a larger group?
It doesn't have to
experience,
be.
or-
It
okay.
doesn't have to be. If it's a larger group, obviously pricing-wise it will be a little bit
Right.
cheaper. But it is the big groups, and we would do, like for corporate stuff, we would definitely do that. You're not going to walk 15 people
No.
on a hawk walk.
Right.
So we kind of limit the hawk walk to maybe 8 people.
Right.
8 to 10 at the most.
And I know that there is an age limit on the hawk walk, and that is mainly due to safety.
It's down to safety. It's down to be honest with you, it's down to the birds. It's down to making sure that the birds are kept happy, and that, like, a lot of times children come in, some are interested, some are not, and then they're running around the field and they're in a field, and when children get into a field they run, and that's not suitable when there's birds flying loose in the area.
Right.
So kids have to be supervised properly if they are in here. So 7 years and over, to have even access in here. We
Right.
don't let people come in with buggies or prams or anything like that. It's just the way it is. Like, it's just safer for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, that completely makes sense.
Yeah.
And finally, this is something that I think a falconry experience or a hawkwalk, I think, is very unique. The way you can do it in Ireland is a very unique experience. It's not every place that you're going to find that offers this kind of access to a bird of prey.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they're shut away. You're not going to hold them. You're not going to be able to possibly, I know we were petting Turbo, the sweet little owl, and Ivy, our Harris hawk, was just absolutely fabulous. But getting this close to a bird of prey, I feel like, is a really unique experience, because you don't really get the sense of the power of a bird until you've held it on your hand.
Yeah, I think more a little bit more than just holding it on your hand. I think it coming into land and then releasing it again, I think is where it really is. And mainly the reason down to it being so rare, I would believe, is that nobody really wants to do it, because the work that goes into just one bird is a full-time job. We've got 8 Harris hawks down there, 4 falcons, an eagle and 3 owls. It's 7 days a week, and nobody wants to be working 7 days a week. So you will only really do it if you love it and if it's your passion. And that's where you will get, every now and then, you will get a falconer here or there that has decided to do this so that he'll have some free time to go hunting in the winter time, and he is totally dedicated. Other than that, you're not really going to get it. You might get a kind of a part-time thing going on, but it takes an awful lot of time. It's a lot of dedication, and if you're not going to throw yourself into it 100%, you're better off not throwing yourself into it at all. If I didn't have at least 4 days free in November, December and January to take some of the birds hunting, I wouldn't hunt at all. I would just forget about falconry and move on and do a normal job. It's the whole idea of me, I suppose, being lucky enough to have gotten this falconry bug and to be able to go on and talk to the likes of yourself and to whoever's going to be listening to this, to understand that falconry, it's so old, it's essential that we keep it alive and we keep that culture and that heritage alive in Ireland in particular. It's recognised by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage in Ireland, so it's protected. And it's one thing that we as falconers should always fight for, to make sure that it stays that way. And that's what makes me proud and keeps me going 7 days a week, is that I've been blessed with this. And I suppose having 25% of that Butler blood in me, it gives me that little bit of stubbornness as well, that I'll never give up, you know. So yeah, the fight is there for sure. Yeah.
Well, John, this was an absolutely wonderful experience. I absolutely just loved it. We had such a good time, and it was so informative, and it's just so interesting. So I can't recommend it enough. This was just
and you're
terrific.
Natural, and you've had a bit of practice before you came to me, so yeah, you were really good, all of you. Yeah.
But I appreciate you taking the time, talking with me today, sharing a little bit about falconry with my audience.
And listening to Lily in the background.
And Lily in the background, who just wants out.
Yeah, just wants to
or
play.
her toy.
Yeah. Happy days.
We are just finishing up our second day at Lyrath Estate. So Lyrath Estate is in County Kilkenny, and it's actually just a few minutes outside of Kilkenny City, which makes it a really great base for exploring the counties of Kilkenny, Tipperary, Laois, maybe even into Wicklow a little bit, but really that area that is just kind of south and eastish of Dublin. Just a really great spot to plant yourself for a couple of days. And it's a relaxing spot too. I really have liked it as we're wrapping down our trip to slow down a little bit, take a little bit more time to just explore what's here and not go too far afield. So it's been really, really nice. The hotel itself is a charming blend of the old estate as well as the addition of modern luxury to it. So it is a hotel. It's a 5-star hotel with a convention center on it. Everything is just done immaculately. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. You don't even really feel like when you're inside the newer part that you're inside a modern building. The elegance and the luxury of the old estate really just seamlessly flow into the new, and it's been an absolute pleasure to kind of wander through, check it out, and enjoy what is on offer here. Now, the estate has really massive grounds, and you heard a little bit about it when I was talking with John about the falconry and the amount of space that they have. And what you can do, and what we've done, is we just got out on the pathways and explored. There's a mix of paved and mown pathways just throughout the estate, and it's just a perfect place for a wander. And there's benches everywhere, and you can sit and relax and just kind of take in everything around you, the birds and the trees and the plants and the wildlife and things like that. So that's just been absolutely terrific to do. There's also a really fun little playground. My daughter jumped on, there's a little wee zip line. So even fun for a 17-year-old. As you heard, there's falconry and archery with Hawkeye Falconry. And then also on site, there is a pool and a health club and a spa. So again, this is really a great place to just step back. Really nice for families. Quite a few family rooms. Our room is absolutely massive, perfect for a family of 4, and so comfortable. We have eaten a lot while we've been here, probably too much. Everything has been absolutely delicious. When we arrived yesterday, it was actually my daughter's birthday. And so I had planned to have an afternoon tea with her and my mom. And that was absolutely stunning. It was in this beautiful sitting room, served on the matching china, and you had your little finger sandwiches and your scones and then your sweets. Just absolutely delicious. I will just say that if you have a true afternoon tea, you do not need dinner. So plan accordingly if you plan for an afternoon tea. The breakfast here is an extensive buffet. It has absolutely everything you could want. It had the meats and the cheeses of a continental. There were cereals and yogurts. What else was on it? It had all of your hot foods for an Irish breakfast. So your sausages and your puddings and scrambled eggs and fried eggs and mushrooms and potatoes and beans, and there was porridge. So really just absolutely everything on that breakfast buffet. And then dinner in the Grill and Bar, which is a beautiful restaurant. It's actually up a flight of stairs, has a beautiful big window overlooking the grounds. Absolutely gorgeous place. And the food there was so good. It was highlighted the local flavors, really highlighting beef. There was an amazing pork rib on it. And my husband's from Texas, and I'm not far from Kansas City, and the town that we live in actually has some of the best barbecue in the country, according to the competitions they've won. So we know good barbecue, and I got to tell you, these ribs were amazing. So just really amazing food here, just terrific food on the resort. It's just been such a joy for us to be here and to kind of learn a little bit more about maybe a side of Kilkenny that people don't get into. Usually when people visit Kilkenny, they come into Kilkenny City, maybe they go a bit south or they head over to Tipperary, and the eastern side of, to the east of Kilkenny City doesn't get a lot of attention. Most people drive through it. So it has been a lot of fun for us to explore that. We actually spent a bit of time this afternoon at a new to me distillery called Ballykeefe Distillery, and I found that story so fascinating that I'm actually going to have Morgan on for an entire podcast episode into the new year. It's an amazing story, and I cannot wait to share it with you. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the falconry chat right before this. I hope you'll go over to the show notes, take a look, just kind of click through, or just do your own search for Lyrath Estate, Lyrath. Lyrath Estate, really an impressive property. It's a lesser known property. There's another property that is just south of Kilkenny City that gets a lot of tour traffic, right? A lot of people have heard about it. This is an estate that not that many people have heard about. Most of the people that we have encountered have been Irish. I think we only saw maybe a handful of Americans yesterday. So it just doesn't get the tourist traffic or the American tourist traffic that other places will get. So that makes it also well worth checking out, taking a look at it, and considering it for your own vacation. As always, during this trip with my mom and my daughter, I do want to give a special shout out and thank you to Bespoke Excursions. Now, if you are a listener, you heard me talking to Owen Cashman in August. So it was just about a month ago. And I don't remember the episode number, but it's only a handful of episodes ago that we talked about the Celtic Coast. And Owen worked with me to put together this trip as a self-drive, but it was a custom self-drive made for us based on the interests and our vacation goals. So if you're after a self-drive tour, but you want somebody to handle the bookings for you, Owen is your guy to do that. So again, be sure to pop over to the show notes, check out the links in there, take a look at the places that we have been and some of the images from our hawk walk earlier today. And I'm going to do my best to come back to you tomorrow and get another podcast in with a little bit more information on what we've been doing and the wrap up. Tomorrow will be my daughter and my mom. They'll be their last night with me here in Ireland. So I should say, if I don't make it, that's why I'm spending my last night with them. But I will do my best to come to you and just give you a little bit more information about what's been going on. So thanks so much for sticking with me so far through my trip. And until tomorrow, hopefully, slán go fóill.